In this video tutorial, we're going to look at how to use the MetaTrader platform. That includes how to adjust the charts on the screen, how to change the colors of the bars or make them into candles, how to view your open trades, how to view your account history, how to look at all of the different currency pairs on the charts, and really just familiarize yourselves with the whole charting package that you're going to be using to trade from. Let's start off first of all with the basics of the MetaTrader 4 platform. Let's have a look at how to put a currency pair on the chart. Now you should have several different sections in the MetaTrader platform. You should have some tools along the top. You should have the market watch. You should have the navigator, and you should have the trade terminal. If you do not have any of these, it's very simple to add them. It's also very easy to take them off again. The market watch is where we view our currency pairs, and we can see which ones are in our list. The navigator shows us the accounts, indicators, expert advisors, custom indicators, and scripts. Basically, this is how we access lots of the functionality from within MetaTrader 4. The terminal is the trade terminal. The trade terminal shows us our open trades and our closed trades for the day. It also has news, alerts, and some extra information that we'll look at a little bit later. Now, to add the currency pair onto the chart, we need to first of all select the currency pair that we want to place on the chart. Now, we currently have the AUD-USD, the Aussie dollar currency pair, on the chart. Let's change this now to the euro dollar. So first of all, we find the euro-USD, the euro dollar, from our market watch symbol list. We can see the euro-US dollar is here. We are not going to click or double click on this. We're going to click and hold and drag it across onto the chart. Instantly, you will then get a new chart on the screen. Yours may look slightly different to mine depending on the current price action and the time frame that you're looking at. Again, if you want to change the currency pair to a different one, such as the pound dollar, we can click, hold and drag, and sure enough, the chart changes. In order to decide or look at which chart we actually have on the screen, the top left of the chart shows us which currency pair is currently being displayed. And it also tells us the time frame that is being viewed. So again, we click, hold and drag, and that places the currency pair on the screen. And we can choose whichever currency pairs we like to place on the screen. If you can't find a currency pair in the list that you would like to trade, simply right click and go to show all. This will then show you all of the different currency pairs available through the broker that you are using. Now, if you want to remove the market watch, the navigator, or the trade terminal for any reason, it's very simple to do this. Simply go to View at the top of the screen. It's the top left next to File. In View, we have several different options. We want to look towards the bottom of this drop-down list. We can see Market Watch, Data Window, Navigator, Trade Terminal, and Strategy Tester. let's assume we want to take the market watch off of our screen. We quite simply click and the market watch disappears. To put it back, simply click View and go back to Market Watch. And sure enough, Market Watch is back where it was. Similarly, if you want to remove the trade terminal from the bottom of the screen, you go to View and click on Terminal. This may help you have a better view of the charts. And again, to bring it back, View, Terminal. If you'd like to keep everything as it is to begin with, that's great. If you'd like to customize it to your heart's content, please feel free to do so. There's also a very useful function key that allows us to make the chart full screen. If you hit F11, that's F11, the chart will become full screen. On some computers, this may mean holding down the function key, then F11. If we hit F11, this is what happens. We quite simply get to view a bigger chart, which of course could be useful for people trading off of laptop or netbook computers. And F11 takes us back to where we were before. So let's just recap on that now. In order to change the currency pairs on the chart, simply find them from the market watch, click, hold, and drag them onto the chart. In order to view our open trades, we look at the trade terminal and we look at the trade button, which shows our balance of the account, open trades, which at present are 0. And we can look at the account history for today, and we can see that the trade that was placed overnight on the Aussie dollar made a profit of $760. Again, that's the trade is for the open trades, and the account history is for the closed trade positions. I must point out, this trade was deliberately trade size smaller for this account. Again, we have the different currency pairs on the chart, the trade terminal, and we know if we want to take the market watch, navigator or trade terminal off, we can do this through going to View and selecting the relevant option. And full screen, F11 to go into full screen mode, and F11 again to come out of full screen mode. So that gives us an idea as to the basics of looking at the market watch, navigator, and the trade terminal. We've looked at how to add currency pairs onto the screen, but maybe it's time to start looking at how we can adjust the charts themselves, how we can zoom in, how we can zoom out, and how we can bring the price action to the middle of our screens. In order to make this more easily viewable for you, I'm going to remove the trade terminal. On the chart, I've got the Euro-US dollar. I can move it around my screen by clicking and holding, dragging to one side, dragging to the other side. So I'm just quite simply clicking, holding and dragging, and I'm able to move the chart around as I see fit. Now when you first install MetaTrader 4, you will actually have these two buttons here the other way around. You will have auto scroll on and you'll have chart shift off. Now these two buttons are rather important when it comes to navigating your charts. Auto scroll means that when you go back in time, the computer will automatically throw you back to the front again. So if you want to look further back in your charts, the computer won't let you. In order to get around this, make sure auto scroll has been deselected. You may also notice that it's actually impossible for me to drag the current price action into the middle of my screen. In order to be able to do this, click the Chart Shift button, and now I can move the chart to the center of the screen. So now I have control of the charts to do with as I see fit. So again, you want to make sure the auto scroll button is off, but the chart shift is on. Now we may decide we want to see more information than the chart already shows us. To do this, simply go down to the dates at the bottom of the chart, click, hold, and drag one way and the other way, and just familiarize yourself with which way you need to drag in order to view more price action. We drag to the left, we can see more price. If we drag to the right, we see a more zoomed in approach. And again, I'm clicking and holding on the screen itself to navigate around. So to zoom out and see more information, drag to the left. To zoom in and view more, drag to the right. If you want to squeeze the price action, you can do this by moving your cursor over to the right hand side where the prices are, clicking, holding and pushing down to squeeze, or moving your cursor up again to expand. Typically, you will normally just use the horizontal scale at the bottom, and you will not very often use the vertical scale at the right hand side, but now you know how to do so for the odd occurrence. Now we may find that we want to use bars, as we currently have here, or candles, and there'll be more on this later on. But to give you an idea now as to how to chop and change between them, just move your cursor up to where the Chart, Shift and Auto Scroll buttons were before. Next to that you'll have some magnifying glasses, and next to that you'll have the bar chart option and the candlesticks option. At present you can see that I'm in the bar chart mode, and I can push and change across to candlesticks if I prefer. Again, I can go back to the bar chart, or I can go back to the candlesticks. This is something that you will discover later on, and you'll look at which one you prefer to use. I would suggest to begin with you keep everything in bar format if you are new to trading, as I believe that they are easier for you to understand what's going on with the price action. Again, it's down to you as to whether you use bars or candles, but you feel free to decide. Now, if you want to change the colors of the bars and the colors of the candles, and maybe even the color of the background, we can do this by going to the properties. To do this, simply right click on the chart, and you can see we have a drop down list appear with several different options. We don't particularly want any of the ones at the top here, but we do want to go down to properties, and by default you should probably be in the colors tab. In here we now have the option as to which background color we use, which foreground color. The foreground color is colors of the X and Y axis and the dates and prices. So the background is the background color, and the foreground color is the color of the text. We can choose to have a grid or no grid here, and we can also choose which bar colors we would like for bar up and bar down, and also bullish candles and bearish candles. A bullish candle is a bar up, A bearish candle is the same as a bar down. We can also choose the line graph, the volumes, the ask line, and the stop levels. Realistically, you're probably going to use background, foreground, grid, bar up, bar down, bullish candle, bearish candle. What I'd like you to do now on your own MetaTrader platform is just play around and customize the charts to your heart's content. Make sure you're happy by choosing your own background color, your own foreground color, and again remember these must be visible on top of each other. We don't want to have white on white because you will not be able to see it. Make sure that you choose a bar up that you are happy with, a bar down that you are happy with, a bullish candle or a bearish candle. Please pause the video now and go ahead and change these options to your own criteria. Okay, so you've had a chance now to play around with the background, foreground, grid, bar up, bar down, bullish candle and bearish candles. And hopefully you've managed to change them to some slightly different colors. And again, you may decide to change this over time, but it's just so you get used to the platform for now. Once you're happy with that, please hit OK. And those changes will take effect on your chart. If you would like to remove the grid from your chart, simply right click and go to grid, and right click and take the grid off again. Right click grid on, right click grid off. You may notice nothing happens on my chart because I have no grid color. If I had a grid color, grid on, grid off. I don't want a grid color, so I'm going to go back again and have no grid color. So that gives us an idea as to how we can customize the charts to our own criteria. We may also want to adjust the time frame that we're looking at. If we look at this chart, we can see I'm currently looking at the Euro-US dollar on the daily time frame. This is where you will spend the majority of your time. However, some people may choose to go to slightly smaller or slightly higher time frames. In order to do this, you need to use the period buttons. You'll see M1, M5, M15, M30, H1, H4, D1, W1, MN. If you hover your cursor over each button, it will tell you what it stands for. M before the number being for minutes, H before the number being for hours, D1 being for daily, W1 being for weekly, and notice here MN is for monthly charts. Not that you'd really be using that frequently. Please now have a bit of a play around changing the time frames. Go from monthly to weekly to daily to 4 hourly, hourly, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and 1 minute charts. You will not be using 1, 5, 15 or 30 minute charts. They're very noisy, prone to news, and very, very dangerous. You'll be looking at higher time frames, so please put your charts up to the daily time frame. If your chart is loaded a long way back in the past and you can't get back to the beginning, one very simple button to push is the end button on your keyboard. As soon as you do that, you'll be taken to the most recent price action as of today's date. Another way to do this is to use auto scroll, and auto scroll will take you back to the most current price action. Again, remember then to take it off. So this gives us an idea now as to how to find our way around the charts. You'll have already learned in the FX preschool how to place a live trade and how to place an order. So now you know a lot more about how to change the time frame that you're looking at, how to change from bars to candles, how to put different currency pairs on the charts, and how to use the trade terminal, how to view the trade terminal, trade being open trades, and underneath the balance you'll also have the orders that have been placed, and the account history shows the current close positions for the day, which we can see here is $760 US. Now that you're aware of how to do this, maybe it's time to start looking at how to put some indicators onto the chart. The first ones that we're going to look at will be moving averages. This is where the navigator comes into play. Please take your cursor over to the navigator and look at the different options. Accounts, indicators, expert advisors, custom indicators, and scripts. Please double click on indicators. If you don't double click, single click the plus button next to indicators. You will then be given an alphabetical list of all of the different indicators that you can choose to add onto the chart with the MetaTrader platform. You can use the up and down arrows to find your way through the list. And we're going to be adding a moving average onto the chart. In order to do this, click and hold on moving average. That's click and hold and drag it onto the chart. Once we have done this, the following box will appear. Please place a 20 exponential close moving average in the box. So period is 20, MA method is exponential, apply to the close, and let's make the color blue. So now we are just choosing which options we want to make the moving average. And you will learn more about this later on. This is just to give you an idea as to how the platform works. Please also go across to the thickness and choose the middle option. If we choose the first option, the moving average will be too thin. If we choose the last option, it will be too thick. And the middle, third option, is a good solution to this. That's the period 20, shift 0. You will never use this. MA method exponential, apply to the close, and I tend to make my 20 moving average in blue. Alright, now you've done that, please hit OK. Immediately you should now see a blue wavy line on the chart. This is the 20 moving average. Again, if we wanted to add another moving average now, we can do so by going back into the navigator, finding moving average again, clicking, holding, and dragging it onto the chart, and then choosing which one we want to add. We currently have a 20 moving average on the chart. Let's now add a 50 moving average. That's 50 in red. Again, exponential and apply to the close. And again, the thickness should be the same. Again, I'll pause for a moment and just let you ensure you've done that on your own computers. Period 50 in red. And once you're happy with this, please hit OK. Straight away now, you should see that we have 2 moving averages on the chart, and we know the 20 moving average is in blue, and the 50 moving average is in red. If you hover your cursor over the moving average, it will tell you moving average bracket 50, and it will tell you that's a 50 moving average. Similarly, if we hold our cursor over the 20 moving average, it will tell us that it is the 20 moving average. So we've had a look now at how to place indicators on the charts. I'm just going to go ahead now back to the top of the navigator, and I'm going to double click on indicators again just to compress it back again. Alternatively, you can use the plus and minus buttons to do this in the same way. If you would like to remove a moving average off of your chart, or remove any indicator off of your chart, you can right click on it and you will get some options. First of all, you'll get the MA20 properties, then you'll get the delete indicator option, then you'll get the indicators list. If we choose to delete the 20 moving average, we're obviously going to go to delete indicator, and we're going to single click on delete indicator. And sure enough, the 20 moving average, which was the blue wavy line, has been taken off of our charts. If we now right click on the 50 moving average and get the drop down list again, rather than deleting this indicator, let's have a look at what the MA50 properties does for us. When we click on MA50 properties, this brings up the box that we saw before, and we can now adjust this moving average perhaps to a 55 moving average if we choose, and hit OK. Sure enough, the moving average then moved very slightly. I can do this again to make it very obvious. We'll make this 55 into a 20, and you can see the changes have taken place. If you've got several different indicators on your charts, going to each one and deleting it individually can be a little bit of a hassle. Thankfully, there's a way around this by right-clicking and going to the indicators list. If you click on the indicators list, this brings up and tells us on the chart which indicators we have on it. And you will see by left-clicking on the relevant indicators, I can then edit them, which takes me straight back to the default moving average window, or I can quite simply choose to delete it from here, and when I'm happy with all the changes that I've made, I can then hit close, and sure enough you can see the moving average that we added on before has now been deleted. So we've looked at how to add currency pairs onto the charts, we've looked at how to add indicators onto the charts, and how to take them off again. We've looked at how to adjust the charts both horizontally and vertically, how to change the time frame, how to flip between bars and candles, and you should already have seen how to place a live trade and how to place an order from the FX preschool section. you may want to use crosshairs on the charts to find some useful information. To do this, go to the crosshair tool, left click on the crosshair tool and hover across on the charts. You will see you now have crosshairs where your cursor was previously. As you move your cursor around, the crosshairs move. If you want to get rid of the crosshair tool, simply left click and it will disappear. The crosshair tool has a very useful feature inside of it called the ruler tool. To use the ruler tool, left click and hold, that's left click and hold, and move the cursor. You will now see there are 3 different numbers that are appearing on the chart. The first, in this case a number 1, shows how many bars I am spanning from the first left click to where I am now holding my cursor. The second number tells me how many pips from point A to point B. In this case, the 347 actually means 34.7 pips. And that's because AxiTrader are a 5-digit broker. That's 34.7 pips, not 347, unfortunately. And the final number is 1.26660, which is the current price where my cursor is being held at. As soon as I let go of the left mouse button, everything from the crosshair tool and the ruler will disappear. Again, to repeat this, go back to the crosshair tool, click and hold, drag your cursor. The first number is the number of bars that you are spanning. The second number is in pips, remembering that 945 is 94.5, and the 1.26618 is telling us the current price where our cursor is being held at. Once we stop holding down the left mouse button, the crosshair will disappear again. So there we go. That's a very useful feature, the crosshair tool there. And that really helps us out with measuring the sizes of bars and measuring how long we've been in a trade for and things like that. Another useful feature in MetaTrader 4 is to hover your cursor over the close of a bar. When you do this, it will tell you the time and date that the bar closed and the open, high, low, close price of that bar, which will be very useful when we come to the trading systems and trading strategies later on. And you also have the volume there as well. The most important point here is the open, high, low, close. Please be aware that the time used here, shown as midnight, is in relation to the server time up here in the market watch. Please be aware of that. Typically, with AxiTrader as a broker or GKFX as a broker, you will find that your daily charts will close around about the 10 PM time. Again, you will need to confirm this with the broker by looking at the charts and just noticing what time their bars close, depending on daylight savings. So that's a really useful introduction there for you as to how to use the charting platform. We've seen lots of useful tips and tricks, how to use the crosshair tool, change time frames, change currency pairs, how to add indicators onto the screen as well as take them off, and how to adjust the charts to our heart's content. You will find that you'll become more comfortable using the charts as you use them on a more frequent basis, so I would encourage you to use the charts for a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes a day, just to play around with them and get used to them as you're starting out trading.